this EC. We got enough for a quorum, so has everybody read the minutes?
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Moving on to the portfolio dashboard.
Thank you.
I don't know which one of you's up. Go
I'll
for
go
it.
through it. No change on loan client A, although they promised they would send a payment. We haven't seen it yet. Loan client B, we did receive a payment. Loan client C, there's been no change, although they have updated us as of yesterday on their business. Loan client D, we received a payment. Loan client E is behind and she gets behind. I have emailed her and I expect she'll get caught up. Loan client F has sent 3 payments, where they are now all caught up. Are there any questions?
No questions on that. I need a motion seconded.
Motion approved.
A motion approved, anybody second? Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Moving on now to the, start the loans. First one's Bacon and Trust.
Okay, so this is Bacon and Trust LLC, doing business as the Hudson Diner here in Hudson Restaurant. The request of us was a $50,000 loan that we've split between the 2 loan funds. 72-month term on both loans, monthly payment being $870.57, interest rate of 7.75%. Purchase of equipment, supplies, and working capital, and a collateral being the lien on business assets and the personal guarantee of both principals. This is Bacon and Toast LLC.
Perhaps you could give them the connection to the other client.
Yes, one of the principals also owns the Meat Hook in Hudson. And his partner in this venture is also a partner in Mel the Baker. They both have years of experience in the food business.
So it's gonna be like a breakfast restaurant or what kind?
I believe we're starting
Lunch and-
lunch and dinner in year 1 and introduce breakfast in year 2.
On Warren Street or?
Yes.
In the Gray's Inn.
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have a question. So I read the business plan and I know there's a sizable amount needed for renovation of the facility, but I also know that they. I looked at the public record and it doesn't look like there was an SBA mortgage out there. So do we know that they have the funds secured to finish that renovation?
They're also an applicant for our micro enterprise program,
Okay,
adding to their project budget. And I believe they also did a mortgage through another lender,
correct.
by the name of Walton.
Right, that was for the purchase. I know they were looking for a couple $100,000 to renovate. So I just want to make sure if we're the third position in business asset, that we're the last dollars in. I feel like we shouldn't
We are.
fund until we know that they are like ready to open.
They have 2 loans, one for the mortgage and one to do the renovations. And then they're looking for the $50,000 from us, and they've applied for a $25,000 grant.
But normally, when we do that, we make sure that the stack is stacked before we
Yeah,
get in, don't we, Mark?
Normally,
Yeah.
yeah, I just didn't see any mention of that renovation loan.
I think that, the fact that they, 2 other businesses in town and they have, it is a concern, but at the same time, it's a strength.
No, I met them on a few occasions and I think they have the chops to run a restaurant. I just think it's a lot of leverage, a lot of that. Building is what it is.
Question. None of the loan proceeds will be applied toward the purchase of the real estate, is that correct?
Correct.
They already own the real estate. I just want to make sure that we're funding, working capital, and it doesn't just get sucked up into some renovation project.
Any further questions? Need a motion.
Motion approved.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to approve this loan, all in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Moving onward to Kristen Bernacki.
Yes, Kristen owns a business called Materia Wellness. She is a nurse practitioner here in Greenport. She's requesting a $50,000 loan that would also be split between the two loan funds. Interest rate is also 7.75%. And the purpose is equipment supplies and working capital. And we'll have a lien on business assets and a personal guarantee of the principal.
Any questions on this one? Entertain a motion. Motion made. Need a second.
Second.
All motion made and seconded, all in favor? So moved.
I should mention this client is also a candidate for the micro enterprise grant.
Okay. Moving on to Black Falcon.
Yep, Black Falcon is a trucking business. Steve and I have met with the applicant on probably 3 or 4 occasions. He likes to come into the office versus doing business over the phone. This is a Greene County business. He's looking for $20,000 to purchase a truck. The interest rate is 7.75%, and it's to purchase the vehicle and provide some working capital. I forget specifically, he's looking for
Permits and
licenses, yeah.
and whatnot.
So he's been driving a truck for many, many years and will take title to the vehicle and have the personal guarantee of the principal. He also worked very closely with Brian Zweig on his business plan, and he's been very responsive. Yeah, we think he's a good candidate. Are there any questions on this one?
I have one, is, how much does the truck cost? I mean, it doesn't seem like enough to buy a tractor trailer.
Purchasing a used truck, I believe not a trailer.
Or no, but even still, it's a $200,000 machine. So how much is the actual truck purchase? Is there any equity going in, and how do we, you know, are we sure that this is a reliable vehicle that's gonna?
Yeah, we questioned him.
And it's
Like,
not a lot of money for a truck like that.
it's very inexpensive.
Didn't I read it was a 2005 model?
Yeah, this thing's
2005
wonderful with a
Volvo.
rebuilt Honda.
He's purchasing it in Wisconsin. He's been in very close contact with the seller, who seems like a reasonable business person. He feels confident about it.
I was fine with the credit, I just don't, you know, it's like, I just wanna make sure we're not putting him into a lemon that's gonna break down, he's gonna need thousands more repair, and you know what I mean?
So that's what scares us too. He has a little bit of money in the bank, but,
Right.
yeah,
That's a very inexpensive vehicle,
it is.
that scares me a little bit.
And the total loan is.
20,000.
How much is actually for the truck and how much is for the permits?
I think it was 15,000.
Yeah, it may have been 15 and 5.
And we're funding out 100% of the equity. That the truck costs 15,000, we're funding.
And he has $5,000 in the business bank account, I believe, so he's got a little bit of working capital there.
What's the payment?
348. What are his business assets?
A truck,
Just that?
that's it.
And does he have clients that he's currently working with?
He does. He's already doing some driving outside of his current employment. His father has a truck. And so he's now looking to purchase his own.
That's my concern as well. I mean, this is start of a business, and the one thing you need more than anything else when you're starting a business is customers. And I didn't find any reference to customers at all in the presentation.
Yeah, he is doing some business on the side, I think, even for JB Hunt, who's his employer. But knows people in the industry, knows how you, it's all done online now, the way you find your
Yeah, you
routes
can
and what
like
have you.
bids and stuff, yeah.
Right,
Well, there's no shortage of truck drivers needed.
Further questions? Any motion?
So moved.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor? All right, so moved. Moving on to the knitting room.
Okay, the knitting room, another Greene County business. They are a retail shop of yarn and craft. Their request of us was a $26,000 SBA loan over 60 months at 52408. interest rate of 7.75%. Purpose being equipment, inventory, and working capital so that they may open their second location. Collateral being lien on business assets and personal guarantee of the principals. This is the knitting room in Greene County.
It's their first location.
Wyndham and opening a second in Tannersville.
Okay.
How are they gonna divide their time? I saw there was very little in the business plan for wages, so now they have two locations. Presumably they'll need more help.
There is a plan to hire. I'm not sure if they have gotten to the point of how to staff either. Both principals work outside of this, so this is part-time, for the two of them.
Okay.
They met with, one of our technical advisors, who was also very positive in her reporting back to us of her meetings with them.
I mean, the wages, we had like $300 a month projected, so we're hiring.
Yeah, I don't see the principals pulling a draw on this at this point,
Yeah.
due to, of course, their support of their outside work and ventures, and to get this started.
Any further questions? Entertain a motion, any seconds?
Interesting industry, so.
Second. Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on to the Pizza House.
Yep, Luiz's Pizza House LLC, doing business as the Pizza Garden. They're in Greenport, a restaurant. Request of us was $50,000 across our two loan fund, 72-month term, 870.57 monthly, interest rate 7.75%. Purchase of equipment, inventory, and working capital, collateral being a lien on the business assets and the personal guarantee of the principal. Also, this applicant is also an applicant for the 2025 micro enterprise grant. This is Luiz's Pizza House LLC.
I would say I feel similarly about this one to the diner, like the dude makes the best pizza I've ever had.
Yeah.
Having said that, we need to make sure that we're the last money into the project and that he's reasonably gonna be able to open. You know what I mean? Like, we have to make sure he executes the purchase and has a clear path to getting a CO because that thing's been closed forever and.
So
Is it
like.
the old Pizza Garden there on the corner of Church Road?
Yes,
I mean, how's he gonna get 50 people in there with tables and chairs?
I don't,
The buildings are only like 12 by 50.
we took his word for it that he could fit 50 people
Hey,
in
that
there.
ain't happening.
I haven't been inside.
I've been in there. When it
Okay.
was a bar room, I was in there, and when the Scallies were using it as a pizza place, there's no room in there for no 50 people with chairs.
Okay, I believe you.
There's just isn't.
We took it from his business
And I
plan.
mean, if you had 50 people, you got 25 cars, where's he gonna park on Route 9?
Don't know the answer.
There's no parking in front of that building for crying out loud. At all. I mean, not for.
Yes.
So he owned Oak and why did Oak close?
Oak closed immediately after the pandemic. They
Cause they
tried,
were open during COVID.
they were.
They
yeah,
didn't open the inside, they set up seating outside
Right,
and then they closed. They couldn't
Like a
switch their
steakhouse
model
thing.
around back
We
to
did a party,
in store. Yeah,
or then COVID, we had a backyard party and we
but
catered.
they were one of the only ones open. Yeah.
He's gonna be
I was
renting that
surprised
building,
that they closed.
he bought it. It should close this week.
bought it with the house next door,
Yes.
okay, then he might be
Maybe
able
it's
to,
expanding. to
maybe he's
that
gonna be
house.
able to make the parking lot on the other side of the house, okay. I just. If he's just using that building, then you could,
I think Justin's point is that, they have to get these facilities to a point where they can open the door, and our money should be used to stock the cooler and the
Correct.
pantry.
Well, so the last money in on all three of these that have applied for the micro enterprise grant is that $25,000 grant. You know, we're getting them to the point, they have to finish the renovation before they can access the grant. The grant money cannot be used for any renovations.
Right.
And maybe, it's a good time to, update on that grant. It was the second tranche of a Office of Community Renewal program that we participated in.
Right. So the county qualified for $300,000. We're the subrecipient, where we will be dispersing $275,000 of that money. And we have 13 applicants. We're starting our 4-week business course on Wednesday. And we're meeting with the scoring committee today, immediately following this meeting, but New York State has already approved the businesses and their expenditures.
He did say that it's, that it would be used for building improvements, permanent fixtures.
But I think that the benefit of this program is by matching them together is, you know, he's basically gonna get $75,000 for $50,000 loan.
Right, and then the other
And
20.
so they're leveraging the cash flow. And we've had 3 of the people who are looking for loans in this batch participate in that program.
Sure. Yeah, my point is, I think we just have to be careful with these big renovations for folks with limited resources, because we all know how it goes once you get in there. And I'm just nervous that, you know, we write a loan and the thing just doesn't get finished, and all of a sudden we're $200,000 away from finishing this project, and we've got 50,000 into it, and we don't have a restaurant. And they don't have the money to finish it, and we're just in limbo. That's just what makes me nervous.
Carriers ain't getting cheaper.
No, neither is labor, neither is anything, and these old, I mean, I know I've been in Hudson for almost 15 years, and it's been closed.
Longer than that,
So
closer to the
who
20.
knows what's in that, on those walls?
Watch, it's an old trailer. It's what it is.
Are
Yeah, it's an old house trailer.
When it was open, it was very popular. I remember.
Yeah,
no, I mean, again, I think the guy can make it, and this piece is amazing, and there's nothing else out there, but just the renovation.
So there's a lot of family support here, and there was with Oak as well.
Yeah.
So we feel pretty confident on this one.
Okay.
I have a question. Is the approval of the loans contingent on the applicant obtaining a alcoholic beverage license?
No, he had one before, and I don't think he'll have any difficulty. I mean, his fingerprints are already on file. It's gonna be just beer and wine, exactly what they had at home.
Yeah.
We have done that in the past, but he's been through the process before, so I really don't think there's any issue here.
Beer and wine isn't bad, it's just when I look at it is what it gets.
to get the liquor license, you
Yeah.
go on down to Bell's Pond, yes, them people, they've been waiting almost a year. After they put all the money into it,
Yeah,
they
for-
still don't have their liquor license.
For the liquor
They don't have
store,
a
Liquor,
temporary?
yeah.
No,
oh,
nothing.
that one I'm told will not be approved.
At the Bell's Pond,
Yeah. For the liquor store,
yeah.
yeah, no,
By the state or the town?
state.
The state.
Town's already done.
The guy over in Catskill was there for almost a year waiting for his liquor license by over the bridge.
The state is very stingy on more. things.
They've been waiting almost a year. They put all that money into that building.
And the financial projections here do rely in part on revenue from alcoholic beverage sales. They will.
Right.
I kind of think that the only people who get liquor licenses anymore are ones who've had them before.
Oh, I don't think that's
Yeah.
the case. I think restaurants and bars are, you know, generally able to get them. It can take over a year, but a restaurant and bar can be granted a temporary, and they're running, it was up to 12 weeks. I'm told they're back to about 6 to 8 weeks for the temporary license.
Well, in beer and wine, they're much more lenient too. It's when you want to start selling hard liquor that they use.
Anyway, all right, any more questions? We need a motion?
I'll second.
Motion made, and seconded to approve this loan. All in favor? So moved. Moving on to no public on here. Okay, anybody else have something?
Martha has a big announcement.
Oh, yes, I forgot. We have been approved for a new $1 million loan from the SBA. And we're working with the attorney to get the documents together. We'll need our officers to sign a resolution. We already have 2 new bank accounts open. The SBA requires both a checking account for the revolving loan fund and also a loan loss reserve account. And we have the 15% to put into that loan loss reserve for the first drawdown. So with any luck, we will be able to access those funds, I would say the beginning of June. That's my hope.
And in fact, when we take the excess amount, the way the 15% rule works, we take what we owe the SBA and we multiply it by 15%. And when we do that, because we continue to put the interest and principal in the loan fund and we don't reduce the amount that's in the loan loss reserve funds from the initial tranche that it supported, we have we can draw down 800,000 of the million. And still have the 15%. Obviously, the risk becomes. If you have a $200,000 tranche and you lose a $50,000 loan and you only have 15% in the hopper and you need to fund 25%. That's why we often buy out loans in the SBA program, consolidate them in our CEDC loan program. And then move in with the technical assistance team to focus in on. And I think what I'm hearing and we should talk about is, what type of, just like you might do an inspection of these projects that are true startups, and check in with them either by phone or drive by, based on their timelines of opening, so that if they are in trouble, we can get the technical assistance team to work through it with them. So we don't have that many that are with the three restaurants.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that would be helpful is like the sources of use table for each loan. I mean, where's the money coming from? What's it being used for? So making sure they have the equity and we've documented it, whether it's outside debt, one person that debt payment, or it's equity that we've seen a bank statement. And just the sources and uses for each, just so we know exactly what the money's funding, and then making sure as it goes along, that lines up, and then again, it should be the last dollars in. Make sure that, they can open.
They take our money and they're waiting for you to, get a
Or, yeah,
$300,000 loan, it's never gonna happen.
You see these renovations go $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, 50 grand, it's like, it get eaten up in like nothing, and first day, and then they might not ever. If we're not careful about documenting, having the estimates, making sure that their numbers are real, because people love to look at buildings and say, oh, I'll put 100,000 into that, well, what does that mean? It's nothing. You're gonna just like put the money in the walls and it's gonna get good, or no, like, what does that mean, and how does that equate to getting open and making sure that we're just, because the construction to start up is just an extra layer of risk that we mitigate.
Whatever happened with the VBG, I noticed we didn't have it at the last board meeting.
Because it was under $25,000.
Oh, okay.
It was approved and we have closed on that one.
Okay.
At our current volume of applications, how many months will that $1 million carry us?
We have 3 years to spend the money, and if things stay busy, I would think it would get us through 2 years easily. Yeah.
And when we applied last November, October, we were concerned because even 8 years ago, the then new administration recommended a 20% cut in this program. And so we were hoping that it would have been approved prior. And now the question is going to be, our annual contract is up on June 30th. And by this time in the past, I believe we've always known what the dollar amount.
It's
about this
sometimes
time.
later. Yeah. We
But-
should hear soon.
Yeah, and based on our volume, we didn't budget for an increase. We actually budgeted to go back to the previous year's amount. Based on our volume, we would, under the previous formula, be getting a bigger grant. So,
Do you get a lot of interest where you just have to tell people like they're not good candidates?
Yes, we also, there's something called lender match. People can apply online. It's not an application. They can put out a request. And a lot of those we do not respond to.
We get a lot of calls after 5 o'clock asking about the loan program, and usually they're looking through, they're from Brooklyn or Queens, and they, you know, they think maybe us upstaters might, so it's easy because we can say we can only work in Columbia and Green County.
Right, yeah.
I mean, we're meeting with somebody tomorrow that doesn't sound like a good candidate, but oftentimes we meet with them in person and we're impressed. He's been in business for 7 years and he may turn out to be a strong candidate.
We looked at, not knowing what would happen, or what will happen. We did look at, if we received no more funding from the SBA to lend, and or we received no more technical assistance grants. And we had a 15% loss rate, which is higher than we've ever experienced. Based on what we owe, the SBA today, before we take down the million. And based on the overfunding of the reserve accounts. It would take, you know, close to 7 years, 5 to 7 years to run out all of those loans. But at the end of that period, we'd have $600,000 of equity, assuming a 15% loss rate. Obviously, when you start to take down the million, it doesn't modify that significantly. It increases the net equity in the loan fund, if you will, because as you put it on the street, we get to keep the delta on the interest. Do we know what the interest rate is going to be on the
We
million?
don't, not yet.
And so, you know, we were fortunate during the COVID years where not only did the SBA pick up people's interest and principal payments for a year or more, right? We had a 0% borrowing rate, so the full amount was ours. But you'll recall we used a 3.75% interest rate during COVID. So, you know, if we're charging 7.75 and the you know, if their interest rate is 5, we're gonna have a 2.75% spread. So we're interested to see what happens there, but you know, I didn't want to create an environment where we were predicting bad things, but I wanted to see if that program evolved, where would we be? And by that point, we would have a little over $2 million in the county loan fund. So that, you know, we would still be able to make loans, but not at the pace that we had in the past.
Sort of the doomsday scenario, right?
Right? Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
You can say something over here.
I'm just learning. I don't stop to hear myself talk.
Second isn't talking too much. All right, we got a motion made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor? Thank you. So moved.